Hello everybody, Tom Ellsworth here, and welcome back to Case Studies with the BizDoc. Today we're going to talk about Tesla. Many of you asked for it. The last 2 weeks you notice I've taken audience requests, viewer requests, and I've gone and done some research on those companies. And I love the suggestion of Tesla for what we're going to find out today. So thanks for your suggestions, keep them coming, and maybe 1 week I'll do a company that you suggest. So Tesla, today there are 2 core points. And the first is a focus on what's obvious that a company's doing. You may miss what's enormous. Sometimes you have to look behind the curtain a little bit and see what's going on. Number 2, frequently new companies aren't really out there to create new products. They are sitting there looking to create new economies. And in the case of Elon Musk, that's exactly what he's done a couple times, and we're going to dive into that. So let's go. Tesla. Let's step back for a minute and look at Elon Musk and PayPal. Now, he had a bunch of other people working with him at PayPal and doing things. What was interesting is the early day of PayPal, if you remember back then, people said, oh, he's trying to make a credit card company. Oh, it's going to compete with MasterCard and Visa and Amex for your dollar on the internet to buy things. Oh, he's really... Guys, is there room for another like Discover card? Is this going to be like, PayPal be like the Discover card sitting there in 4th place between Visa, MasterCard, American Express in that order? No, it never was that. What he was doing was building a monstrous infrastructure of a new economy, and all the credit card companies and your checking account looped into it. So what they were doing is what was obvious, what looked like a little way to pay for things like a credit card, was actually enormous. He was creating an economy. I'll give you another example of an economy that didn't involve Elon Musk, and that would be Google. Google came out with, once upon a time, I think it was back January 2010, something like that, maybe 2009, I think it was 10. They came out with a thing called the Nexus 1, which was their Android phone. And everybody was like, well, they got this Android software, they've done this, now they're trying to make their own phone. How foolish. How can they compete with Samsung and compete with Apple and compete with all these other people and Nokia? And we did a case study on Nokia, and you know what happened to them. But really what was going on? It wasn't about that. It never was about that. And anybody that says it was is not being truthful. What they were all about was the Android ecosystem. Because it'll all make sense if you step back and look at the puzzles. And this is why I say a focus on what's obvious, you can miss what's enormous. So if you go back and look at it, Google bought Android, and Android was run by Andy Rubin. Andy Rubin, once upon a time, was an Apple engineer who worked on several things, but Apple TV was one of them. And he formed Danger with some other friends, and Danger created that clamshell that used to twist and open the hip top that was offered by T-Mobile. That was a Danger device. And kids loved it and everything. Remember a couple times on the Emmys, you had those Danger devices all blinged out, people showing them and everything, and it was pretty hip. And it was actually, bought by Microsoft. But before it was bought by Microsoft, Andy Rubin left, and he went to start Android. So when you follow the path down there, Andy Rubin had a big vision for an ecosystem. Android gets bought by Google. Andy Rubin goes there and creates the Android ecosystem. So what people thought is, a handset strategy? Nuh-uh. It was an ecosystem strategy. And that's one of the things to keep in mind, as we go to study Tesla, because there's more than meets the eye. When you say Tesla, you think cars. When I see Tesla, I think ecosystem. And there's been articles written about it if you've been kind of diving into that sort of thing, and that's what we're going to look at today. Okay, let's dive into Tesla, but first let's focus on the name Tesla. Tesla was the inventor of AC electricity. And if you've seen some of there's a very interesting series here in the United States that's on History Channel about once a year. It's called The Men Who Built America. And you learn about John Rockefeller and Standard Oil of Ohio. You learn about Carnegie, who built the railroads. And you also learn about Tesla, who worked with Thomas Edison on electricity. And Tesla basically pioneered and really was the patron of AC electricity. So the car company, you think it's a car company, founded by Elon Musk, he calls it Tesla. Well, guess what? Tesla's an energy guy, not a car guy. This was all about energy from the beginning. So when you take a look at it, the first cars come out and they're pretty good. And I think if you remember, there's the Tesla Roadster. A lot of venture capitalists and other wealthy people drove it. It was a very hip little car. It's kind of a status symbol. I'm going with the alternative energy on a very, very cool car, as opposed to some of the predecessor electric cars, like General Motors EV1, which was basically, a turd with wheels and solar panels, right? And now you had a very hip, interesting car. And that's where Elon Musk started with it. From that, it led to the Model S, which really blew the lid off because that was a great car. It could seat 4 people. There was this enormous dash console that looked like a giant iPad, touchscreen, all your controls, easy to do, and just really a phenomenal car. But underneath it all, even though Musk focuses on making products beautiful, it was all about power. So as you look at it, one of the things that was interesting to me was how from the beginning, all the focus that was on the power side of it. For instance, there were places to charge electric cars in America, yet Tesla built a network of what they called supercharger stations, several of them in major cities, and then strategically placed locations along the nation's big highways like Interstate 30, Interstate 20, Interstate 10 that go all across the United States. In the case of Interstate 10, it goes from Jacksonville to Santa Monica. So he's putting superchargers all along these very popular and well-traveled major roads at like 200-mile increments, which is pretty much the touring distance of your typical Tesla Model S. And so he's building this network of basically service stations for electric cars, but he's letting Tesla owners charge there for free. People saw a benefit to buying a car. You know what I saw? I said, you know what? As America moves more and more toward electric cars, this guy owns a fleet of service stations, a fleet of refueling stations. So it was deeper. I saw an energy strategy underneath the car strategy from the beginning. So you look at it a couple different ways. You had the Model S, and then you had the Model X, which is a really nifty kind of a mid-size SUV. And then you had the Model 3. Don't know if you saw the Model 3. It was around $35,000. And they got 400,000 orders for the Model 3. Think about that. 400,000 pre-orders, people like you and me putting a deposit of a few $1,000s down for a $35,000 electric car. And when you think about that, you think about maybe the auto industry and you think about emerging auto company, one word comes to mind when you think of 400,000 people getting a car. It's, damn, that's a lot of cars, right? But really what's going on is now you have a lot of demand for the supercharger stations and for charging. Well, along the way with all that car activity, Tesla buys Solar City. And he says, I'm going to be making batteries. And all of a sudden, the curtains get pulled back and we see a deeper strategy. And they announced Gigafactory 1, which is being built in Nevada, in the Tahoe, Reno area of Nevada. And you see these pictures of it. It's this enormous, enormous facility that's going to do nothing but build batteries that go inside the Tesla, and announcing the Powerwall that goes inside your house. It would go inside your garage or a utility room, and it's soaking up energy here, or it's soaking up energy if you happen to have a solar roof. And what's really interesting about the Powerwall is this. I don't know what it's like in your city, but the power companies in America are competing with each other like mobile phone companies did 5 years ago. Hey, free nights and weekends and half price on evenings if you only use this much during the daytime. So all of a sudden when you go to get you don't just call the power company to turn on your house, you actually select a plan that would be good for you. Well, I'm at work all day, so my air conditioning and my heat are turned way down. Maybe I just need one that's free nights and weekends and a very basic fee, because they're happy to give you power for free or next to free in the evenings. Well, anyway, during the evenings when maybe power would be free in your city, you're charging up your power walls. When you bring your car home, your Tesla, your brand new $35,000 Model 3, or your $150,000 P100D, which is faster than a supercar, faster than a Ferrari I used to own, and faster than any Ferrari I will own, although my daughter Bailey's trying to get me to go for an FF because it seats 4 people and she thinks it's really cool. although she wants this flat red color. She likes the flat black that she's seen on cars. She said, you know, we like those. And I'm like, wait a minute, what's with all these flat colors on cars? That makes no sense to me. Anyway, enough about that, but she's, you know, really pushing it. But this thing is faster than, you know, any Ferrari or any Lamborghini. P100D turns 0 to 60 in 2.5 seconds. And it's like, amazing stuff. So not only is it a great energy car, thanks to the torque and the amazing power of electric motors, it's faster than anything you can buy. That's gas powered, and especially in the exotic category. So there you have it. You can go home, charge your car using your Powerwall at home, and then perhaps even get that Powerwall filled up for free by your power company because you get free energy in the evenings. And I think that's something to pay attention to. So now he's got Powerwalls that are being made at the Gigafactory in addition to batteries that go inside here, in addition, and all of a sudden you're realizing, wait a minute, there's a lot more here. He's not just making really nice, great electric cars, he's disrupting energy. And that, my friend, is the ginormous strategy that was behind Tesla in the first place. They are disrupting energy for you and me. But they're reminding us about how we can be carbon neutral and put less, you know, emissions into the atmosphere. Although, there's a very interesting little formula that you need to look into on electric cars, and it goes like this. Your electric car is only as energy efficient and as carbon neutral as the power plant sending you electricity. And I read, you know, an article, and this wasn't a scientific article, it was a summary, and I'd love to know scientifically if this is actually 100% correct. But what they pointed out is, if you, let's say, bought a Tesla and you lived in Wheeling, West Virginia, and the local power company is a coal-burning power plant, you know, putting all the soot and everything, clean coal, dirty coal, doesn't matter. Coal burns a lot into the air and puts a lot of carbons out there. So that all you're doing is moving the exhaust pipe. So instead of the exhaust pipe coming out of your car because you're burning gasoline, the exhaust pipe's really down at the power company making energy that's going down here to the cord that's in your garage. So that in certain cases, electric cars maybe in Wheeling, West Virginia, might be dirtier than a Honda hybrid running electrical and a small battery. I don't know if you follow that logic. So it's that the power is, you know, may be dirty. You may be making dirty power somewhere, and that's what's charging your electric car. So it's a good thing to be thinking about electric cars, but then it's also another thing to think back about, where's this power coming from? Maybe it's not as clean because you're just moving the tailpipe. But regardless, I think it's a very good and noble thing to go after carbon neutral vehicles. So now you've got your house and maybe your power company's refilling your Powerwall. Then comes this past 6 months ago or so, actually it was a little less than that, Elon Musk announces the next step. Solar roof tiles that are not big black panels going on top of your roof. They look like roof tiles, they look like Spanish tile, they look like slate, or any number of tiles. And you know what's interesting about that? Now you cover your roof with those. Your roof is filling up your Powerwall. Your Powerwall at night is powering your house and recharging your Tesla. Guess what? Now you're zero carbon. Now this is not inexpensive because a typical house could have like a $25,000, $30,000 cost to put Powerwalls in, enough to power that house. Well, okay, that's a pretty penny. That's an awful lot of $300 a month power bills to get there. However, what you're doing for the environment and what you're doing for the value of your house is significant. So I look at it and, you know, I think, you know, as you step back from it, now you can see the full energy strategy. And I think that's something that, you know, what I was trying to point out at the beginning is you could see something that's not obvious, but actually there's a ginormous strategy that's underneath it all. And, you know, for me, my next car, you know, when it's time to turn in my AMG, my next car is going to be a Tesla P100D. And I'm going to put Powerwalls in my garage, and I'm going to redo my roof with these tires because I want to be as close to carbon neutral as I can. Even if it doesn't maybe pencil out to the penny in terms of cost effectiveness, I want to do that for the next generation. And I think it's a wonderful thing that they're doing here. And building all this power infrastructure behind this. They're doing a great job on cars, but the bigger thing was power. So Tesla is really a disruptive energy company that sold us cars first, then a way to recharge them, a network of service stations called supercharger stations across the United States, solar roofing tiles, because last time I checked, the sun never runs out of energy. And when I step back at all this and I say, I've fallen into Elon Musk's trap. I'm now going to be, a 3-level customer of Tesla, and I'm happy about it. So that's basically where we're taking it this weekend. And I think it's a great example of if you focus on only what's obvious, right, then you may miss the enormous. If you looked at that Tesla Roadster or you looked at the Model S and say, oh, good grief, Ford sells more pickups every month than they've sold in the last 2 years. Yeah, that may be true, but you're focusing on the car and you're thinking car. You're not thinking about Gigafactory 1, which here in 2017 is about to be at full capacity running in outside Reno, Nevada, nor are you thinking about that they said this year they're going to announce Gigafactory 2, which is going to be in Europe. So this is a global power play. So when you focus on what's obvious, you may miss what's enormous. And the other thing is, maybe you'll be privileged to be part of a company that actually builds an ecosystem. Elon Musk did it with PayPal. Andy Rubin joined Google and they did it with Android. And Elon Musk is changing the ecosystem for solar power. It's not a bunch of guys knocking on your door offering to install power panels, solar panels on your roof for a subsidy from the government. It is a full ecosystem that he is building under the Tesla flag. And I imagine there'll be a day where not only Teslas stop at the side of the road to get recharged, other vehicles will stop at those Tesla stations. And I'd be willing to bet there'll be some power walls and there'll be some solar tiles and there'll be things that are providing power to that Tesla service station where you'll be, hopefully to them, charging up your Tesla Model 3, but it also may be that you're charging up some other electric car. And that's it. And that's the story of Tesla. And that's the story of this week's case study. And so now, boom. Hey, we need like a solar pillow. I wonder if we could get like a solar pillow, But until next time, I'm Tom Ellsworth, asking you to subscribe to Valuetainment for the best content for entrepreneurs on the internet. And until next time, I hope I've left you better than I found you.